me 2 seconds later, what was that? I didn't get that. I was talking to my friend on Twitter. Stop. Open your fucking ears. Pay attention. Okay? So fly on the wall is my analyst. Those are for my analyst calls, which I keep here. For the stuff that comes in, for the scans, I will go through here. This is for the when somebody has news on something. I will punch this up and just give the ticker, and I can find out the news in 2 seconds. Hence, let's say Amazon has an issue right now. Boom, I can punch it up, and then Amazon's latest whatever shit comes out. You understand? Okay. So, but for actual determining whether, other than using the great Palmer's feed, I go to briefing. So this is my bread and butter. All right. So this morning, the first thing I do, you would go to ScanX at 3:30 in the morning, which is when I get up. And ScanX is just basically gives you all the morning gaps. Okay. And it comes at 3:30 in the morning. All right. You see that? 3:46 in the morning. All right. Now pay attention. What do you see? Marvel up, SMAR up, EMFA, ZG, TELUS, Ulta, Senia, HIB, S. Do you already see 8 tickers? Right? And what do you see on the downside? Docu, Ollie, Asian, Big. You see that? Boom, you got 12 trades right there. You're done. So what I do is I take about 7 to 8 of those, and then I start looking for small cap. How do I determine the small caps? I start going over here to ACE, right? I just go to ACE and I start looking at his feed. Okay, what's the morning action? What do you see, boss? And then he'll tell me, okay, I see side. Great. LGVN. Great. Those are 2 tickers right there. I don't trade this Thomas, $2.14 with a 24% gap. What does that mean? Stock is all the way up 25 cents. I don't fucking pay attention to that shit. It's 25 cents. What the fuck do I care? You see how it marbles up though? 22%. That means the stock is up $8 to $10. Right? That's a mover. That's going to play that stock. CYAD. Okay, it's up 35%. All right, I'm going to take a look at that. So here we go. I put it on my screen, right? And I look at CYAD. Okay, I'm going to take you through the steps. All right, I see CYAD. I look at the gap. So I come over here, 1 day, 1 minute, right? And I look at this gap. And the gap is from 360 and it's sitting at 480. I'm going to play that stock. Giaddy's probably playing it in the morning. Okay, but I don't know why it's up. Right? And as long as this stock, listen to what I'm saying now, as long as this stock stays above for a 1 point to 150 range on the upside, this will give me a play. How will it give me a play? Because either I can short the stock or I can long the stock. So now I go look at the news. So now here comes the news feed. Right? And so I go Syed and I punch it up and I go look. All right, Syed. 12-2. It's the clinical stage Syed company focused on a CAR T cell for cancer. Okay, what else? Announces a 6-point private placement offering. Okay, so to me, this is telling me this is a negative. This should be just pop and fade, right? So the way I would trade this stock is I would set it up. Now I go to the daily, which is over here. So I go Syed daily. So I look at the previous day, which is very thin. You see it? So then I look at the gap right here in the morning. And I start to build my box around the perimeters. So this is the morning. So for me, to long the stock, I would want to break out over 510 with volume. What does that mean? Remember, sometimes you see my shit and it says with volume. That means I need 800 to 1 million shares to be traded in a block. Write that down. If I see it pop with 100,000 shares, I'm not going to trade that stock. If I see it pop with 200,000 shares, pretty much I'm not going to play it. It's too weak. Okay? So then I come over here, and this was a quick pop, so you had to market in, market order out. Dick Swat came aboard, started yanking, boom, I would have called the short. So I'm looking for 800 to 1 million on the block. Now look at right here on this block, Drew. What do you see? 911,000. You see how I drew that up, Drew? So now I do the 510 breakout. I got the million, almost 1 million shares. I ripped the stock for about 50, 60 cents, put 5,000 shares, make 30 cents, $1,500 in, out, get the fuck done. Right? If the stock breaks support, which is right here, I'm going to call for a short. So I would call for a short at 430, 440. When it hits that, I fade the stock. So obviously this morning it didn't fade it. So there was no short in it. So that's why I would tell traders in the room constantly, even when I walked in the room, don't long it unless it clears 540. Don't short it unless it clears that bottom's there at 430. Okay? And that's what my notes. Next trade, LVGN. LGVN. Okay, why are you up? Okay, we had an after hours pop and we're gapping up from the close, which was at 18, and now we're sitting at, does that volume amount 8K to 8? No, it's 800K to 1 million. Only despite, yes, to small caps. That is correct, John. Make a note of that. Okay, so now I come over here. All right, and I see LGVN. Okay, so we moved on from Syed. Here's number 2, LGVN. Okay, what the fuck? We're up 1850. We're shooting up to 2250. Fuck, I'm going to play that bitch. Why is it up? 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. Uh-oh, it's holding. I don't like this. What the fuck? See, this is my box right now. So I'm thinking, okay, it's 5:30 in the morning and I'm still stuck here. All right, so let's see. Now, I already know LGVN is a former runner. Okay, so how do I know that? Put up a 20-day chart. You see the spikes? See them? Pop and drop, pop and drop, pop and drop, pop and drop, pop and drop. So I have range. So in this stock, I would like to prefer anywhere from 700 to 900,000 block to come in. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for that block today to run the stock, and I have range to 31. I've played this before, so I know, but I got to see the news, because the news will tell me if I'm going to be able to keep it up and run it, or it's just going to pop and fade. Okay, so how do I do that? All right, so I come over here and I run over and I go, okay, LGVN. Let me see what the fuck. And I'm doing this all the morning. This is what I'm doing. All right, I'm taking you in my head. LGVN. I come over here and I'm looking first. Exclusive private placement. So they did a private placement. Great, at $17.50 a share. And they did warrants at $17.50. So why are we gapping up? Oh, there it is. LCGN, orphan designation. What did I teach you in here? What have I taught you in here from day fucking 1? What does that mean? What is this word? It's an automatic short. There's no long in the stock. It's over. All right, so I can't get a play on the fucker. The only people are going to pop it are the short sellers building a position, because no fucking long should go in there. I don't want this room long in it unless the short sellers come in and pile in. The smart money is going to short the stock at the open, build a position, and then fade the motherfucker. And that's the whole point of the trade, because there's no reason for the stock to be up, not on an orphan designation. All right, so I want to pop and fade this bitch. All right, so how do I set it up? I come back over here. Now the news told me how the stock to trade the stock. So now I set up a system and I say, okay, I wouldn't long unless I clear 25 with volume on a serious volume. I could probably get 1 to 2 points to the upside, top off, and then short it. Why am I saying 1 to 2 points? Because the stock is already up 7 or 8, right? The stock is sitting up at 6 or 7. So that news is going to create an extra 1 to 2 point pop. The news isn't warranted for a 10-point run. Are you listening to me? So I'm going to do a 1 to 2 point pop. But I want 25 to come with a 1 to 2 point pop, top it off, scale in short. And then once the short sets in, which is about, I'll show you right here. When you build your box, your short is right there. So I would call the trade to probably right here. If it breaks 22, I would short the stock. All right, 22 is my key area. I'd have about 1 1.25. You know, I might get a little couple pops, but in the end, this is where I need you to understand. This is where a lot of you don't get shit and you get shaken out. No matter what, the stock is going to sell off. There's nothing to justify the move. Okay, it's going to fucking sell off. Just like I told you, Docu was going to sell off all day. How did I know that 8 points ago? Because that's what it's going to do. It's knowledge. It's understanding the stock. So I know this pitch is just going to fade right back and start filling these gaps of 20 and under. So I don't give a fuck if it pops a little bit. Right? I don't give a shit if a short seller gets in there and covers position and another one does. In the end, it's still going to keep coming down. Do you follow me? Remember I called Docu and I said it was going to, or what was that stock? And I said it's going to hit 360. And all of you just said, no, it's not. But I stayed in it. Remember? Because I see the move. Right? I know what it's going to do. Right? So the news tells me that this stock is going to fucking sell off. So I stay with the short. So at the open, now let's play the open, right? Ding, 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 ding. It pops and it pulls. And I say, okay, now initially I probably would have lost on that initial pop. I'm not going to lie. I probably would have popped the bitch and I wouldn't have been able to get out. I probably would have took a hit. All right. And then would have pulled. And I would have said, oh, fuck, dick squats. Then I would have came over. Oh, shit, it's building up. I probably would have went long here. 2,000 shares versus 1,000. Rip the bitch. Get 80 cents to $1. I'm out. I would have made my money back in a heartbeat. But now watch the topping. See how it topped out? 1 point. Remember I said 1 to 2 points? And then sell off. You see how I set up the trade? Then it goes on a note. All right. All right. So those are my small caps. They're out of the way. Boom. Let's move on. Now I come over to, let's take a stock like Marvel. All right. Marvel. I come over to Marvel. I see the stock gapping up, right? I see it considerably gapping up a lot. You're going from $70 to fucking 85. Okay, I'm going to play that stock. There's no fucking question. Okay? But before I really get in there to the nitty gritty, right? And here's my pre-market. See how pre-market's setting up? Look at the pre-market. See that box? So my long is here and my short is here. See, that's already predetermined. My long is here. My short is here. Now, for me, I'm short bias. Let me tell you why. Okay, how do I play that stock? So I come over here and I start to read the report. Got to read the report. I come over here. I'm like, why the fuck is Marvel up? All right, well, we already know it's on the scan, right? Because we found it. And it tells you right here it's up because of earnings with Smart, right? So we already got all that shit down. Now I want to see the stock. So I come over here and I go Marvel. And I start to read it. Right? And I come down, I scroll down, and I want to see it. Boom. Upside guidance. I don't see a big, you see the first thing that came to my head? I want you to look at the upside guidance. The upside guidance, instead of being 42 cents, is going to be 45. So is that earnings, does that justify that 14-point gap? No. There's no fucking way. Your revenues might be a little bit increased from 1.21 billion to 1.32. I get you. But that fucking EPS at 45 cents versus 42, I can't justify that 14-point pop. I'm going to short it. I'm short bias. So I look at the stock and I start determining the range. Okay? So how would I came in? I would have said, I wouldn't long it unless it clears 88 with volume. So that way, and when I'm looking for volume, I'm really looking for some, really decent volume coming in. This looks like a fat finger. See how it just popped and pulled? But I'm short bias on this fucker. So I would have said, just look for the short at about 84.50. We snapped that. You get 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 points to the downside. Okay? I know the earnings is good. All right? It's not going to gap fill. This is another thing you need to understand. But it is up too much where we're going to get some profit taking. So I would set on the notes, I'm short bias. I'm going to be looking for the 84.50 snap, 3 to 5 points to the downside. Bottom curl, long it. I range it because the earnings are still strong, right? By the same token, I know there's going to be profit taking kicking in. So there's my breaking point. I scale in 500 shares, all right? And then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, out. I'm done. Because if you look, it pulled the 3 to 5 points. Bottom curled, long. So when you ask these questions, like how did you know it stopped there? How did you know 80 was the number? That will come in time. That's why you're in the room. But if you do this every quarter to quarter to quarter to quarter on these earnings, you'll understand like, shit, that earnings isn't that good. All right? So let's case in point, DocU. Here comes the big one now. Here comes the big one that some of you could have been millionaires today. I'm not fucking with you. This stock was so predetermined what it was going to do. Look at that. Look at that. And somebody want to swing this. I don't know how many times even when I got in the room, you got, can I swing 150, 160? Because what you're doing is you're looking at the fucking chart. That's all you're doing. You're looking at the chart. You're not paying attention to the surroundings of the, like, okay, do we know why the market plunged this morning? How many of you can raise your hand and tell me, if I asked you in a class, why did the market, hey, Jesse, why did the market pull this morning? Huh? Why did the market sell off? I don't know. I was eating pizza this morning and I had a beer. You get the fuck out. Anybody else? All right. It's not Omicron. It's not fear. It's not Biden had a cold. You guys are fucking out to lunch, right? The reason why is job numbers came out. They just didn't come out, man. They were fucking seriously. So how do you know that? You punch up the SPY. This morning when SPY started to pull, right here, okay? So where is it? Right here, pre-market. Let's see right here. This is 3 o'clock. SPY. Policies. Anyway, the job numbers were, when they announced it, the market started to sell off. The gap up was gone, and the NASDAQ was starting to sell off again. Okay? So that's why you had to wait, especially on longing stocks. So that sets up Ulta. Ulta had decent earnings, but it's going to sell off. Tesla, decent earnings, but Tesla's going to sell off. Upstart got an upgrade. It's not going to move today. I saw somebody on Twitter go, it's going to rip. You know why you thought that? You weren't paying attention to the market. There's a guy on Twitter that tagged me on Upstart, and he put on there, I shit you not, he said, this morning when he saw the Upstart, he wrote, it's going to rip. Okay. This guy was not paying attention to the market. He wasn't even waiting for the market to tell you what it was going to do. He just assumed that the market was good enough that it was going to rip. I saw that this morning. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Let's see if I can find it. I don't know if I can find it. Yeah. Yeah, I can't find it. Okay, well, it's no biggie. But it's just because he didn't read it. You're not paying attention to the market. Okay? So anyway, with that being said, okay, so now Upstart had a great upgrade, right? And Docu had shitty earnings. Now for Docu, as I said earlier, it was a slam dunk, right? All I had to do was the earnings, right? I mean, I'm sorry, the analyst. So I come over to Docu and I see it down 80, 90 points, right? And I'm coming over here and I'm like, fuck, massive downgrades. But all I cared about was just fucking this one, JP Morgan and UBS. That's all I needed to see. At a 170 and 170 price target, that means the stock is settling at 135 and under. That's where the stock should settle. All right? The fact that JP Morgan is fucking giving us an underwrite, that's like saying strong sell. When people see that, like me, we're sellers. I want you to take a look at some of the other dumb fucks out there. You see JM Securities? Oh, we think it's worth 307. It should only be down 18 points. That's why you're a dumb fuck. This is how you decide who's a tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. Dumb fucks, right? Right? So you've got that one. Then you got over here, Wedbush. We're going to go to neutral with a $200 price target. Dumb fuck. Wells Fargo. Well, we're stupid, so we're going to follow JPM and say 180. That's all they're doing. You see that? And then RBC. Dude's out to lunch here. Okay? It's fucking out to lunch. What are you doing? You're a tier 1 analyst. Grow the fuck up. All right? Stop with this bullshit at 220. It's not worth 220, motherfucker. Pay attention when UBS. Look at Piper Sandler. We're going to downgrade a neutral with $200. You're not reading the fucking report, are you? The writing's on the wall, bitch. Right? So a guy like me who's been doing this for so long takes a look at fucking JP and UBS and that's it. Short the stock. There's no fucking long in the stock. Stop it. So I set it up. I come in here. Here's my box. It's plain as day. Look at that motherfucker. It's sitting there. So I would just go like this. I would not long docu unless it hits 162. Right? It hits 162. It'll only squeeze 3 to 5 points to the upside, scale in short, take it down for an all-day fade. Why? Because look at the top. Look at JP Morgan and UBS. There's your price target. Okay? You see that? And then on the downside, I would have put right here, 158 snap, look for a 5 to 10 point sell-off, potential all-day fade to downside. So it would have assured you a 10 point. Now, how do you get rich as fuck? If I put 5 to 10 points and you're buying 150 puts at the open and it drops to 140, do you know how rich you are? Somebody just pointed out that Docu is paying 135 puts are up 12,000% today. Do you realize how much money you would have made with $3,000 or $4,000 of your money? You see? And so this tells me how to trade the stock. Now, what I want you to understand about a stock when it starts to sell off, this is where a lot of you fail. And it doesn't mean that you're not dumb, because none of you are dumb. You just don't understand. A lot of you think, oh, it's going to curl here. 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 A full-on curl, right? When it starts to curl, the stock would need to rip right back above 146. It would need to get up here. It would need to prove to us it has enough buying to have the ability to give us that push for 5 to 10 points to the upside, right? But what happens, and this is why I keep coming in, be careful. This is an all-day fader. Be careful. This is an all-day fader. Be careful. Once it starts to set in and continuous lower lows set in, look at these lower lows. None of them peak out again over here. That's a tall tale. The stock is going to continue to sell off. So as you go through it, now, once you break another support, which is right here, see this 138? Right? And I said, if it hits 138, and you see how look at it carefully. See how it topped right here? So I would have shorted right here. This 137, 136.50 with size. I would have put my stop here. So I would have took 2,000 right here and just took it down 1 to 2 points. This would have been a $4,000 trade, even right here, because this already predetermined an all-day fader. And that's why you see the stock selling off. So I would never have longed the stock. So what? No overnights, no. So what I don't want you to do is just assume because the stock is down 80, 90 points, don't think it's going to bounce. You must do your homework. Now, let's see really what made Docu fall off a cliff. So we come over here. All right, so we come over here and we scroll down. Right? Look at this. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. So Docu issues massive downside guidance. All right, but it doesn't look as bad. All right. Operating margin is 17, 19%. Billings are 650 million. Billings were 50, an increase of 28%. But from the overall, that report doesn't really look that bad, right? When you look at on the paper side of it, what killed it, in my opinion, was probably what the conference call gave in. Okay, so if you read all of this, and this is where briefing comes in. Briefing will tell you, like this, the whole, like in some of these calls, it'll give you the breakdown. And you see what it's saying on the bottom? Finally, with Adobe having a robust e-signing offering of its own, Docu's results today should shed some light on how Adobe may perform when it reports its earnings market on December 16th. If Docu failed, this analyst over here at Briefing is saying, I'd be very cautious going long Adobe into earnings. Make a little note of that. And let's watch Adobe on earnings. And if it plummets 50, 70 points or 100, remember where that comment came from. It's good to keep that as a fact. Okay? So what happens was this downside. Now, why did it pull so much? Well, let's take a look. The first thing you need to do is look at the last 20 days. It's been nothing but selling off. Look at the investors. Okay? And then you'll go from quarter to quarter. Okay? So from quarter to quarter, you had a big, robust quarter. So now investors, for them to want this stock to go to the next level, they can't be disappointed. They need numbers. And I'm not talking, they're tired of this downside guidance. If you look at the previous report, it was downside guidance. That's why the stock keeps getting lowered. So now, when you read it from an analyst perspective, read what JP Morgan said. Tailwinds from pandemic tailwinds came to much faster than expected in Q3. Audi tells investors in a research note, DocuSign Sales now needs to pivot from a focus on demand fulfillment to demand generation. Do you hear what he's saying? All right? Stop with this bullshit that you're using COVID as your fulfillment, how you're getting busy. You need to start doing something different now. You need to generate business in another avenue. You can't use COVID as your way of doing business. You follow me? This is a harsh analyst coming out saying, listen, you did good on COVID. I'll give you that. You fucking skyrocket on your stock. I'll give you that. But you're milking the cow. How are you going to generate other business? You're not bringing us anything. All right. So he's telling you that it needs to focus from a fulfillment, which will, do you recommend holding these upstart calls? Yes, I do. Which will lead to revenue growth, seeing a noticeable deceleration into the first half of next fiscal year, says an analyst. Audi thinks the shares could underperform software peers during this time frame, even though DocuSign's long-term market opportunity remains robust. You got to listen to that shit. Okay? And this is the kind of shit that I do in the morning. All right? Is there a way you can go over what it really upside good guidance is and just okay upside guidance? What do I look for? I look for, it just depends. There's so many factors, Patrick. I mean, what if the stock made a 30-point move between the previous earnings to the earnings, and the analyst came out and he had upside guidance and they were lucrative but not blowing up? The stock is going to sell off. If they came out and had robust thing, right? Right, Patrick? Think about it. If their upside guidance was fucking huge, then we get an extra pop more. Not a lot, because we already made a significant move. So you have to look at what the stock has done for 20 days. Where's the direction of the stock? For me, on Snow, it was simple, Patrick. Let's recap Snow. Now, for Snow, before the analyst, this one right here, and the direction that was bullish, even though the stock was selling off, Patrick, even though it was selling off, I had upgrades into the earnings. I had the bullish and I had fucking call buying going off galore. But what I got on Snow was Christmas. I'll tell you what I got on Snow. I got this. The market tanked that day. So even if they missed, the stock would still pop. Do you see that? Because it's too much. Too much, boss. This was Christmas. So to me, I said a statement, didn't I? If this stock fucking sneezes, even 1 penny into earnings, the stock will rip. Okay? And that's why you guys made so much money. You made even more money. Okay? All right, CFI. Yeah, I would get out of it. Take the 30-cent hit, move on. I would have got out at 12.20. Don't be a bag holder on it. Okay? And even if it goes above, who gives a fuck? Just leave it alone. I don't like stocks like this. Why would you play shit like that? This is a bullshit stock. Look at that. Look at the market makers. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Dick squad. Right? And then they come out and they fuck the shorts real quick. And then what do? They fucking yank it again. Yank, yank, pop, yank. It's just last minute garbage. So you got to be careful with that shit. Okay? So anyway, what I'm trying to get at you, okay, is you gotta dig as you're learning this business. As you're learning this business, listen to me very carefully, especially for all you annuals. First of all, I've gotten over 200, 250 annuals. And I want to say to all of you, you're showing me your commitment today. You're showing me just how bad you want this shit. And you're ready. All right. And you're ready. And I use Briefing in Play Plus. Briefing in Play Plus. Right? I do not use Briefing. I just use Briefing in Play Plus. All right. So just so you know, there's 3 of them. I use the middle one. And the first month is free. Think about that for a second. They're giving you this for free for 1 month. So why aren't you taking advantage of that? Okay? So my point is to all of you, if you just spend the time, remember I keep telling you, before you take any trade, because you're fucking beast people. You're forming yourself to become a beast. You stop being a follower and a sheephead the minute you walked in this room. Okay? You're no longer sheep. You're no longer that little squibbly person in the corner going, yes, I should follow you on that Twitter stock. You think it's going to go up? Yeah, you've had a couple in the past. I'm going to take that trade. When you ask that person, when he loses money, why did you take the trade? You know his response? Well, because that guy told me. Or that person told me on Twitter. What kind of fucking trader are you? You're not. You're a bullshit artist. You fucking don't even belong in the business. Okay? You fly by the pants. You're wasting my fucking time. That's what you are. You're just a waste of fucking... I don't have time for people like that. When people come in here, I don't see the alerts. Go fuck yourself. That's my alert to you. Get the fuck out. Because you don't understand what we do in here. And maybe you should do your homework before you walk in this place. Okay? For all of you, you grown-ass women, grown-ass men that have families and people to take care of, this is your spot. Because now you have to take this trading serious. You have to know why a stock is going to move before it moves. Before you enter the trade, long or short, you need to know why. Don't take it just on a blind. And then when we do our recaps, ask me, what did you see on that? Make a little note. Make another mental note. And I'm telling you, over time, it's going to become like boom, 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 clockwork. Okay? So, again, when I wake up in the morning, I can't stress it enough. I come up, I go to Briefing. It's on my screen. I go to Palmer's feed, and then I come over here. And then I go to ScanX, right? Just to see what's gapping up. I'm already looking at the tickers on CNBC, so I'm picking up a few there. I looked at ACE's small cap. I got a few there. But in the morning at 3:30, I'm looking at tickers, right? Boom. And then about an hour later, I go to summary. You see, I go to summary. Now, summary will give me all the reasons why the stock is up. Okay? So, AJ, I shorted Marvel at 85 and thought it would keep going down past 80. But I didn't. Okay? And I missed the opportunity to take my profits. Do you see it turn back 80? No, take the hit. It might go to 82. Maybe 81. I don't know. It's up to you. But you got greedy. You shouldn't have. So Sumrix is awesome. When I come down here on Sumrix, I just pull it up in the morning, and now I get a summary of why everything's up and down. Okay, you see that? So now I have reasons why the stocks are up and down. And there's thousands and thousands of stocks gapping up and down, but I pick the ones that are going to give us the most value for our money. All right? Thick, meaty, size. You know what I mean? That shit. So I keep CNBC on in the morning, right? Would you hold 210 upstart calls earlier? I never called 210 upstart calls, Corey. You're out to lunch. I don't know who you're listening to. Traders, what was the call on Upstart? Everybody knows it was 190. See, Corey's out to fucking lunch. He came up with 210 because he only wants to hear what he wants to hear. So you can take the 210s all you want. It's not what I would do. Any thoughts on MDB earnings? No, just wait for them. Okay. All right, traders. I love you. Be good, be well. Listen to what I'm telling you. And thank the great dark side and Jenny for being there this morning. Hey, what I learned today is just how much this room has grown. That if I don't have internet, like today, or a storm hits or whatever, I just text Darkside, I text Channy, I text Sergio, it's done. The room ran, but I want you to remember what Mark Moses said. Remember what Mark Moses just wrote out. Even though I wasn't in the room, all right? Even though I wasn't in the room, what did he write? I mean, you should take that to heart because this is a young person. Look at him. Today, I was able to prove to myself, even if AJ had some issues with the internet and I wasn't able to see his notes, but I was able to see it, able to trade because AJ taught me how to do this shit. That's you. It's all of you that are in here right now. What do we have? 4,000? There's only less than 1,000 in here right now because it's Friday because everyone wants to party. That's you. That's you. All right? Take what we do serious, man. You remember now, it's like you're going to school to be a doctor, right? But instead of being a doctor, guess what? Can I tell you? You're going to make more money than a doctor. Okay? I love you. Have a wonderful night. And don't forget to sign up. Be an annual. Commit. Say to yourself, you know what? Fuck it. This is my place. I've been here 1 day, 1 week. I'm in it.